Hundreds of people would love to know how to own a franchise and make it a big success. In today's episode, we have Max Emma, and he's a franchisor and a franchise consultant where he can help you to discover how you too can create a successful franchise. And he came from the former Soviet Union at the age of 18 without friends, money, or English, and had to start his life from scratch. And after 4 years of a corporate finance life, he started to turn his life around. And within a few years, he started to work in landscape construction. And after a while, he ended up being in the franchise business. So the first question I have for you is, what is the secret to your success, and why did you choose a franchise as a way to become successful?
Welcome to Awakened Titans podcast with Lily Patrascu, mind-blowing conversations with influential business titans sharing how you can manifest abundance, love, joy, success through quantum awakening, quantum manifestation, quantum healing, quantum miracles, exponential business growth, and innovative products and services.
Sure. It's nice to be here, Lily. Thank you for the opportunity. Well, I would say that franchise chose me. My business that I've started after landscaping was a bookkeeping business, and it still exists, and currently it's called Bookskeeping, and currently Bookskeeping is the preferred bookkeeping provider for about 98 franchise brands. And by accident, by one introduction, we started working for one brand, and then slowly but surely we were getting more and more of franchise owners of that brand, and then another brand and another brand. Before I started attending franchise conferences and trade shows, and I understood that I really like to be around franchisors. So the franchise community is very welcoming. People help each other. It's totally normal to see CEOs of two competing brands that each has 2,000 franchisees talking, having a drink, and discussing and sharing, because everybody is helping everybody. And when I started seeing that, I said, when I grow up, I want to be like them. And slowly but surely, we got into franchising ourselves and started franchising Bookskeeping as the concept. And from there, sometime this year, I've decided that if Bookskeeping is not a good match, there are other opportunities for people that are involved franchising. And that's how I got into franchise consulting.
Thank you. Why do you find a franchise is a better option than just coming up with your own idea and starting it from scratch?
Well, franchise generally gives you a playbook. It tells you what to do, but most importantly, what not to do. When we're talking about bookkeeping franchise and I'm training my franchisee, I'm telling them, hey, I'm going to tell you all the mistakes I made. And the mistakes cost me a lot of time, and most importantly, a lot of money. So my job as the franchisor is to tell you what not to do. Something that people can figure out on their own, but again, it's going to take some time and it's going to cost them quite a bit. So that's why franchise, in my opinion, is the better solution, because, I always say you can figure out how to do pizza yourself, and probably your home pizza is going to be way better than any of the national brands. But how to scale it, how to make sure that you can do 100 pizzas in 1 hour and they all come out the same and taste the same and don't burn, and takes exactly 7.5 minutes or however long it takes to get the pizza out of the oven. That's an art, and this is the art that franchising is providing. It's not necessarily the best recipe of the food. We can talk about McDonald's, for example, but I will argue that, in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion, these are not the best burgers you can try somewhere else, but nevertheless, a lot of these restaurants where you try the best burgers, they won't be able to have 200 burgers done in 1 hour. It's just physically impossible.
Thank you. Tell us more about your successes and achievements related to your own franchise and also other entrepreneurs you have helped with their franchise?
Well, I just realized that I know enough to help other people to be successful. And so now running three businesses and being CEO of all three businesses. And again, full disclosure, I have teams of people helping me in each of the business. There is no way I would be able to do it on my own. So being there, I realized that I know enough that I can help other people to be successful. So this is just, I guess, the passion to see other people to succeed. And then I see a lot of people who are leaving corporate America, for example, and want to be their own boss, but they don't know where to start. And that's what franchise consultants are doing. If you know that you want to buy, let's stay on the McDonald's train. If you want to buy McDonald's, you don't need a franchise consultant. You just contact McDonald's. They tell you if any territories are available, which probably there are no territories available anymore in the US, and you can buy a location. Consulting is for people who don't know what they want to do. They just know they have a calling to have their own business, but they're not sure in which industry and how to go about it. And that's what we do. I talk to people, I ask them questions. I'm trying to figure out what they're going to be happy with. And then slowly, it's a series of meetings. It's not done in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or even an hour. And then we make recommendations, and candidates meet with the uh, franchise brands.
Thank you. Tell us more specifically your achievements in terms of franchises. I mean, I'm talking numbers and stats. What have
Sure.
you managed to achieve, like from a financial perspective?
So, financial perspective, right now, Bookskeeping is the only bookkeeping franchise in the US market, and are we just sold the 12th franchise, and we are on track to sell about 20 more in the next 6 months. So the goal is to sell 50 total before the end of 2025, and then I'm planning to take a pause for 3 to 6 months just to make sure that operations can catch up with the sales so we can provide sufficient support for our franchisees. And on the corporate side, as I mentioned, we are now doing bookkeeping for about 98 franchise brands, some big names such as Sport Clips, FastSigns, Signorama, some emerging brands that are very fast growing as well.
Thank you. You mentioned that you are a consultant for 600 other franchises. So tell us some numbers and stats and figures around there in terms of how many, I don't know, people have you helped with selecting the right franchise for them, and how did it work out for them?
So I'll tell you a story of somebody who, as I mentioned, was living in corporate world. Very similar story to mine. She just had it. She just couldn't work for somebody anymore. My story is I'm always making a joke that I wasn't kissing the I was kissing the wrong butt all the time, and that's the reason why I had to leave the corporate world because I just wasn't very good at it. And I guess this person is in very similar shoes. And right now we are in the last stages of deciding between three industries that she wants to go to. One of them is pet services, and another one, they're probably clear finalists, the elder care. And I can tell you, Lily, that these two industries are actually the leaders in terms of franchises are being offered. If before COVID, fitness was one of them, I mean, what was the biggest? Everybody was opening fitness franchise. Obviously, COVID slowed that down, and now not that many new gyms are coming on the market. Some still do, but not as much as before. But right now, the pet services are, killing it. So I can tell you that this lady will decide in the next couple of weeks, and I know that she end up buying a brand that she's going to be very successful with. What I want to mention, and it's very important, that services that I provide as a franchise consultant are absolutely free for the candidates. I'm not charging anything hourly. I'm not charging any fixed fee, nothing like that. Only if a person buys a franchise, we get commissions from the franchisor. Okay, so that's the only time we get paid. This is different from, hey, I have a retainer, and then I've when you run out, I'm going to charge you more. No, nothing like that. So all the services are 100% free for candidates.
Thank you. Why did you choose Bookskeeping as your franchise brand? And why is that a good brand for people to choose?
Well, bookkeeping is my baby. We co-founded Bookskeeping in 2011, and both me and my co-founder, who was my wife at the time, I mean, we still work together, even though we're not married, Elena Emma, we actually when we ran the landscaping business, we needed to get financials for our own company. And we got 20 estimates. And the estimates for exactly the same scope of work varied from $200 to $2,000, which we knew from day one, being finance people, that there is a huge gap and there is an opportunity to disrupt the industry. And that's when bookkeeping started as the small company doing local bookkeeping in San Diego. But we were always thinking big. And again, we went nationwide with becoming a preferred provider for franchise brands. And then later, we decided to franchise the concept. As I mentioned before, a lot of the things that happen, at least in my life, happen as an accident. I did not have a clear plan when we started bookkeeping company that we're going to become a franchise brand. Okay, I didn't know much about franchising when we started the bookkeeping business in 2011. So that's why it was a great concept. It was working. Clients were happy, employees were happy, and we realized that we can take it on a national arena by offering the same opportunities to other entrepreneurs.
Thank you. How can franchisees choose the right franchise for them?
Be open-minded. That's the most important thing. Okay, don't just think what they like to do, because in my opinion, this is a mistake. If you want to have a successful painting franchise, you don't have to know how to hold the brush. Okay, it helps, but if you're buying yourself a job, I would say it's a very expensive job that you're buying yourself. Okay, you should, if you're buying a, let's use painting franchise, be a good marketing person that at this point selling painting. But tomorrow it might be plumbing services, and day after tomorrow you might add HVAC and mechanical, because really it's home services. At this point, doesn't matter what you sell. So my job as a consultant to talk to people and find what they like to do. I mean, what's their lifestyle? How much they want to be involved? I mean, do they want it to be more like a lifestyle franchise, or they want to like grow that fast and sell in the next 3 to 5 years? So that's what my job is. It's not just very few people who when decide they want to open a business saying I only want to open a pizza shop. They actually open. A lot of the time, the introductions that we make would go to a pizza shop, to home services and pet services, because people looking at the numbers, how much potentially they can make, when, how fast they can return their investment, and this all are the factors. And again, what the lifestyle is going to be. Do you want to work remotely? Do you want to be able to travel and manage your business from anywhere where there is an internet connection? There are a lot of opportunities like that. Or if you open a restaurant, then it's going to be very hard to manage it remotely. You probably have to be around.
Thank you. What are the most profitable franchises?
Well, the most profitable franchises is the one that you put most of your time and efforts in. There is no like a franchise that I can tell you go and buy this one, because some people become successful and some people are not. But in my opinion, the main factor is actually the people themselves. I mean, if you're not planning to work hard, at least in the beginning, you are not going to be successful. There is one franchise that I can help people with. It's an AI franchise. Obviously, AI is everybody's talking about it, but I'm using them for my own company, so I can definitely speak from my own experience and tell people about it. And this is the business that you can run literally from anywhere. Another business that, as I mentioned before, the dog grooming and dog hotels, but um, it's very fast growing industry right now. But again, let's say you want to open dog grooming. Part of my job is to make sure that the territory is available because, if somebody sold, let's say, San Francisco for a certain brand, that's it. You can't open the second one. They're not going to sell you a location, on the next block. So the question becomes, do you want to open a competing brand or do you want to go and open, let's say, in Auckland if the Auckland is available?
Thank you. If entrepreneurs don't have a clue about that particular field, so let's say if I'm not an accountant, I don't know about accounting, can I open a bookkeeping business?
So every brand is different. Obviously, I can talk about Bookskeeping because it's my brand and we've designed it the way we want it to be designed. We put a lot of time, effort, and money into training. So to answer your questions, yes, you can be a successful owner of Bookskeeping franchise without being an accountant. With full disclosure, I'm not an accountant. I'm a finance person. I know enough about bookkeeping and finances to talk about it for hours. But Lily, the last thing you want to do is to let me do somebody's bookkeeping because I'm going to suck at it and I'm not going to be successful and people are not going to be happy. And most importantly, I'm not going to be happy. Okay. Because I like more to be around people, to go sell, to meet new people. But I have a wonderful team of operations and accountants who actually love doing that. And you have to really put guns into their head to go and sell because they just don't like doing that. They're like, well, leave me alone. I want to be where I'm at. I want to get my job done and I'm really good at it. So that's very important to know. So speaking of Bookskeeping as a brand, everybody who buys gets 3 months of accounting school, 6 months of sales training, and 1 year of executive coaching. So the value of these three trainings that are provided by specially trained people, and it's live by Zoom, but live, is more than the franchise fee that people paying Bookskeeping. So um, we are making sure that this is the franchise for non-accountants. There are some franchises that, for example, you either have to be a medical doctor to open or you have to hire a medical doctor to run this franchise. So every franchise is different and has different requirements. So you have to look at each individual situation. And of course, a lot of franchises require real estate. You have to get a lease and then sign a 5-year lease. So even if the business does not succeed, you're on the hook for that. Businesses like Bookskeeping, you are not required to have any real estate. You can work from your home. So that's a huge saving because in a lot of businesses, yeah, it's 50, 60,000 for a franchise fee, but then it can cost 500,000 to open a store or open a restaurant.
Wow, that's so interesting. What is the typical franchise cost? Is it a monthly cost? Is it an upfront cost followed by other costs?
So typically, it's a franchise fee. I mean, that's a standard, and franchise fee varies from franchise to franchise. There are some that are only cost $20,000. There are some that cost, $100,000. I'd say the typical franchise fee that I'm seeing, not typical, but average would be uh, 45 to $65,000. Okay, but it really depends again which business you're opening because again a restaurant business it might be $65,000, but then it'll be another half million to open the location and buy the equipment. Where for Bookskeeping, you're probably going to be spending $65,000 all in to start and to run your business for the first 3 months, because again, no real estate is needed.
Thank you. Are there recurring costs like monthly costs, royalties, things like that?
Yeah. Yes, most of the franchisors do charge royalties, and that's how franchises make money, because the franchise fee are like we spend it all on training, or we spend it on franchise consultants who bring us leads. So in most cases, franchise brands do not make money on franchise fee. This is just the cost of getting the franchise on board. But then, yes, there is a royalties, and the percentage varies. I've seen, 5% for some businesses. I've seen, 10 to 12%. It depends on the business, the volume, and the industry. Like for example, for bookkeeping, we teach people how to price it so it's enough for them and enough for us as a franchisor. We're not having them to give us the percentage of their revenue so they suffer. That's not the goal of franchising. It's actually make sure that it's a win-win for everybody.
Thank you. What are the top ways to make a franchise successful?
Love what you do, love people, understand your why, understand why you're doing it. If you're only doing it to make money, I'm not sure that that's going to make you successful. If you love what you do and you're good at it and you grow all the time, then money will come. Just enjoy what you're doing, move, learn new things, and don't stop at one point. You never can touch the horizon. You always, moving. I mean, not everybody is doing it, but I encourage everybody to do. So let's say you're successful opening a restaurant and you're doing really good. Yes, you can stop at that and live comfortably, or you can open a second location and a third location and build your own, small empire that eventually you can sell and make more money. And also you can grow your own business. I know a lot of people who are very successful franchisees. They might own 50 to 80 franchise shops in different industries. So it's like a portfolio of different businesses. Of course, they have managers running it. They're not, no normal human being can run 80 businesses and be day to day in all these businesses. But they're very successful, and then they sell that for millions of dollars when they decide to retire or move on with their life.
Thank you. What are some marketing tips to make a franchise successful?
So work with your franchisor. In most of the cases, franchisors do know where to invest your money. Something might work for one brand and don't work for another one. I see some franchises to run an ad in Super Bowl, but for some franchises, it's not going to make any sense because it's just going to be very expensive and it's just not your target market. For example, I don't think, because it's a B2B business, it would make sense for Bookskeeping ever run an ad on national television. But for a restaurant brand like Pizza Hut, they do that all the time because that's the name recognition and just making sure that people go and buy this particular pizza versus Domino's, for example. So listen to your franchisor, learn new things, because obviously right now with the social media and AI, technology is changing. 5 years, 6 years ago, when we started franchising, we TikTok rarely, I mean, pretty much did not exist. I just was starting, but now it's a very popular mechanism. So speaking about bookkeeping, we do all the blogs on behalf of our franchisees. We do all the local marketing. We do all the social media. We encourage our franchisees to do more, but at least we provide them a good start, a good foundation, so they can concentrate on growing their business.
Thank you. Are there certain things that franchisees are prohibited to do in terms of, for example, social media marketing? Is there, for example, a book that says, I don't know, don't post this kind of videos on TikTok or on Instagram. Don't try to do, I don't know, X or Y that could potentially harm the entire brand of the business?
Absolutely. it's called brand manual. So every brand has its own manual or its own playbook, and that's what people paying the money. It's actually all the know-how. Bookskeeping playbook, or we call it brand manual, is actually over 900 pages. So it has all the contracts, tells exactly what to do. But Lily, a lot of it is common sense, and you just have to know. Do not discuss politics, religion, and other stuff that can be sensitive and people can argue about. I mean, as you know, we're getting very close to presidential elections, and I'd say 50% of the people not going to be happy with the results. So my franchisees know better than that. Do not discuss it. And even if they have a strong position on the issue, just, leave it to themselves. For example, have my own personal social media, but I'm not even putting my opinions there that much. But even if I do, I would never put it on Bookskeeping website, because I don't care who wins in November. Debit is still going to be on the left and credit is still going to be on the right.
That is funny. Are there other rules that franchisees are supposed to keep to? And what happens if they actually don't? Because someone that I know was saying that if you don't stick to the rules, you can get into a lot of trouble. And I wonder whether it's only the franchisee who could get into a lot of trouble, or is it the franchisor as well?
Both, because I'll give you a good example. Bookskeeping as a brand is not offering income tax. Okay, so because we get a lot of referrals from CPAs, so that's a business decision that we only provide bookkeeping services. So if one of our franchisees is going to start offering it and not letting us know, some CPAs who send business to other franchisees will get really upset and they'll stop doing that. So that will hurt other people. That's number one. And number two, there is a liability because our insurance, E&O, errors and omissions, is not covering income tax. It's covering the bookkeeping, but it's not covering the income tax. So our franchisees know they cannot do that. They cannot take Bookskeeping logo and from red, white, and black, the three colors that are trademarked, and we have, we have all this information in our brand manual. They can make it blue, yellow, and green because these are not corporate colors, so they have to be uniformed. So it can actually hurt everybody because let's say they make it blue, yellow, and green. There might be another bookkeeping company, not that I know one, but that these are their colors and they trademarked it. Then we can get a lawsuit, and it can gonna cost us a lot of money to get out of this lawsuit. So yes, absolutely, it can hurt everybody. But I tell my franchisees at least, look, if you want to make a recommendation, then just send it to the corporate team and we always look at it. The best ideas come from franchisees. I mean, I know a lot of stories and I have to sit down and remember the names, but one of the largest restaurant brands that has, 800 locations, I think, they started doing a milkshake by one franchisee just wanted to do it. It wasn't part of their brand, and now it's 50% ice cream and milkshake of their total sales. So one franchisee just started doing it without letting franchisor know, and franchisor went there to get them in trouble, and then after talking to them they decided to offer it for everybody. But again, so I tell my franchisees, if you have an idea, let's talk, and maybe it's going to be the best idea ever. You don't know what you don't know.
I'm so happy that you mentioned that, because that was the question I was going to ask. Because I've always thought that franchises are mainly for people who perhaps not necessarily are not very creative, but they just prefer to follow something that, like a script. They prefer to follow the path that has already been taken. But what about if you have a great idea? What can you do with it? Are you gonna just bury your idea? But you've just kind of answered that. So I'm so happy that you did, because it's a really great thing when you do have a great idea. For example, I am a very creative entrepreneur. So I come up with stuff every single day, hundreds of different things. So it's great that in a franchise, you can also implement your own ideas and optimize certain things to make sure that you're always evolving as a person, you're always evolving as a business as well. Okay, so if people would like to either own their own franchise or create a brand new franchise, or just get some consulting on a franchise they prefer, what's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Lily. So the best way is for people to go and hit franchisewithmax.com, and there they'll have a choice to either inquire about bookkeeping franchise, franchise consulting, or maybe even bookkeeping for one of their businesses. So it's franchisewithmax.com. That's my personal business card. Please come and visit and let's have a conversation. And thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential business titans, providing you with the insights to awaken to your full potential so you can get paid to be yourself, find true happiness, and manifest anything you desire.